Hey, I am TC, your girlfriend, not girlfriend, aka the most honest F buddy you've never had. Today's topic: how to handle losing your FWB. Okay, so my first video was on this topic. Well, it was kind of more like a story time of, it wasn't even how I handled it. It was just like what I went through and the situation in itself. So now I'm going to touch more on how I handled it and how maybe would be helpful to handle it. You can go about this your own way 100%, but I'm just offering some support because I know that there was no support when I was going through it and trying to handle it and trying to explain to people who were not familiar with friends of benefits situations and soliciting their help. And some of it was helpful, some of it was not. So I'm hoping to be a bit more helpful to you. So, first things first, if it ended before you wanted it to, and you were in this situation for more than 6 to 9 months, if it was past that time, well, I mean, even if it was in that time, let's say anything past 6 months, whatever connection the both of you guys shared was real. I know when I was going through my heartbreak, is what they call it. When I was going through that, I was struggling with that. I was like, if he was able to just discard me like that, it must have never been real. He must have never cared for me. Everything that we chatted about like being really close friends and best friends and all of this, it was all bullshit. And, I was lied to for all of this time. Don't allow yourself to believe that. I know that your mind wants to do that because it's sad and it's just like going through that really rough place of now being alone and figuring out your days. But do trust that whatever connection you both shared, it was a shared connection and it was real for them. It was. Don't let your brain or your how you're trying to cope tell you that it wasn't. It was absolutely 100% real because you entered into a situation and you spent a good amount of time with another human being. And anytime you spend time with another human being, 9 times out of 10, they cannot live a lie for that length of time. So they cared about you. All that time that you guys spent together, all those trips that you took together, all of that fun you had, it was real. They cared about you. They truly did. And this, however it ended, if it didn't end the way that you wanted it to or expected it to, just know that this is probably a moment of weakness for them or for you both, where you're not able to handle the situation in the way that you may have expected or had wanted it to be handled when inevitably it went this route. Because remember, you guys were in a friends with benefits situation. So there was an end date on it. You didn't know that date. They didn't know that date, but there was an end date on it. And either it changed into something more longer term or it fizzled out because you guys did not have a future aligned. But they did care. They did care and the connection was real. Another thing to remember about this when you're going through this feeling is that you guys were friends with benefits and I mentioned it just a second ago. Inevitably it would end or change, right? So remember that this ending is not the end all, not even the end all between the two of you, hopefully not, but it had to, the way in which things were between the two of you had to end at some point. And it could just be opening the door for you to meet someone who is more compatible or someone who aligns more with where you are going future wise. So, for my particular situation, in the months before he like got into his relationship and our situation just ended, I was already trying to change our dynamic in a way that was comfortable for the both of us because I needed more time to pursue the stuff that I was trying to pursue. And he wanted to spend a lot of time with me. And it's not to say that I didn't want to spend a lot of time around him as well, but that was a problem because it wasn't allowing me to do the things that I needed to do to progress. I was allowing our situation to be a very comfortable situation and space with him to be so comfortable that I didn't even want to, or not even want to, but I felt less of an urge to do the other things that I knew I needed to do to progress in my career. So the universe literally, the space that I wanted to m- create between us, the universe literally created it for me and like snatched him out of my life. And through my crying and feeling terrible and betrayed and all this other kind of stuff, another amazing person showed up out of, kind of nowhere. And the weird thing is, he has all of, and I say has because I'm currently going through this situation. Like, literally, my situation with my previous FWB ended, what is this, March? So, 3 months ago, or like 2.5 months ago. And I found another person, I want to say just a couple of weeks after it had, maybe a month after things had ended there. And this person, oddly enough, it wasn't my intent, but oddly enough, has a lot of the same characteristics, or excuse me, same interests as my previous FWB. The interest that I really enjoy, like being spontaneous and being into stuff that I'm not necessarily into, like snowboarding and skateboarding and being just adventurous, like a lot of these qualities that I was really grieving when me and my FWB separated. This other person came along with all of those qualities and the added quality of being into filmmaking. So that was like, I was like, universe, aren't you funny? Because when I was going through the process, and as I'm still now going through the process, it's just like sad that a friendship had ended somewhere where I was so comfortable, someone I felt so connected to. This other situation presented itself, and the situation that is probably more beneficial for where I'm going versus where I was at. So it's another thing, you don't want to necessarily hear it now while you're going through it. Maybe you haven't found that new person yet, but understand that that could possibly be what is happening. I know that right now your brain is just playing over the amazing parts of your relationship with that FWB. I know that everything was great, all the trips, all the fun, all the stuff, all the interests. I know that stuff is great, but there are so many people in this world, and there are so many people in wherever it is in the world that you are. I promise you, the universe is just making way for you to find somebody who is more beneficial to where you're going and not where you were. So just know that for me, that was my experience. I was very sad. I was very distraught. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to be in my own space, grieve, feel terrible, all of that other stuff. Like I just wanted to do that. And the universe still managed to plop a person who was more aligned with my future. And I don't want to be with this person long term either. Like, this is just another, I wouldn't even call it friends with benefits yet, because we haven't entered into that. We're just kind of enjoying each other, but we're taking trips, like we're doing stuff, we're having a great time, just having fun, thinking of other film projects to like do together, just really enjoying the time. And this smile, this energy, like all of this was not here 30 days ago. I promise you. So that's important. That's another thing important to remember. Literally the cliche of once the door closes, another door opens. In my case, it was real. It is what happened. And this person is more aligned with where I'm trying to go. Another thing is, you are allowed to hurt. You are allowed to feel that. Like I said, I went through what I didn't know was heartbreak, or am going through what I didn't know to be heartbreak. And for people who are in friends with benefits situations, people who you're trying to talk to about what you're going through, they oftentimes try to align it with things that they know to be normal. So that being like heartbreak being associated with a significant other, like a partner that you're breaking up with, right? And I had people tell me like, I think you were in love with him. And it's like, no, you don't understand. I was not in love with him. I did love him because of the time we were spending together. Like, he was a close friend. I love my friends. I care for my friends. I was not in love with this person. And just because I was not in love with this person does not mean that I can't hurt once it ends. I can't grieve once it ends. It's not appropriate. Like, it is. It is appropriate for you to hurt. This was not a relationship, but it is the closest thing that you had to it, you being the person in that FWB relationship. So you are allowed to hurt. You are allowed to feel that pain. And not just you're not allowed, it's appropriate, it's expected. If you didn't feel that, I would venture to say you weren't in a friends with benefits situation. You were more in like a booty call situation, because friends with benefits requires you both to care for each other to a certain degree. So it's going to happen. And I know people, because the people that care about you want you to kind of get over it, and they're going to tell you, like, focus on you. I hated that. I really hated that. Don't tell me to focus on me. I was already focusing on me. That's how I got here. It wasn't the advice that I wanted to hear. I more so wanted to, for me and my personal experience, I more so wanted to walk through and understand all of my emotions, understand where they are coming from, and just be logical in where I'm at now and moving forward and slowly moving forward from where I'm at now. But the point of all of that is just your FWB relationship was the closest thing you had to a relationship. So you should care about it and you should hurt when it ends. So it is okay for you to hurt when it ends. I cried, I yelled, I sat quietly in my room for days, I journaled, I had inner conversations. I've done all the things. All the things. I really have. So it's okay. It's normal. It's expected. I promise. It is expected. And I know that everybody's telling you this, but you will get through it. You really will. You won't be able to think your way out of it. You're just going to have to feel your way out of it. You're going to have to take time. You're going to have to let it let it pass. And I think the maybe the more helpful thing for me was not to try to logic my way out of my emotions. Don't try to be over rational with yourself, so much to the point where you're not allowing yourself to feel what is real. Feel the emotions that are really there. Be patient with yourself. Allow yourself to feel. It does hurt. It should hurt. It will hurt. Oh, okay, this is a good one. The next one is a good one. Take note of the things that you really enjoyed about your friends with benefits situation. And also take note of the things that you didn't really enjoy. And take that stuff with you to the next situation. Not saying that you're going out seeking for the next situation, but just take inventory of those things and remember it for wherever you end up next. And remember with fondness. Like, try not to hate that person. Don't hate that person. You had a great time with that person. You trusted that person. You guys are very fond of one another. So, in your memories, remember with fondness. Don't try to fixate on how this person hurt you now, how they conducted themselves now, whoever this new person is. Because in my situation, my FWB is not a totally new person, but he definitely turned into someone that I didn't really recognize in terms of how he treated me. So don't try to fixate on that, because it's not going to help you. I know it's easy to slip into that because you're very angry with them. You feel very much like I know for me, I felt very much like they just threw me in the trash and was like, all right, next situation. All of the crying and telling me how they feel after the fact, I felt was BS. I felt like they were just telling me that so that I would feel better about what they were doing to me. Or, I mean, I say doing to me, but what they were doing and how it affected me. Because they're not doing anything to me per se. They are doing something and it is affecting me in a certain way. So I was very angry about that. And I was very frustrated about that. But don't look back on the memories with that level of frustration. See it for what it was. You stayed in that, especially if you were in a long-term FWB situation, you stayed in that situation for a reason. You were happy to some degree. I know for me, I was very happy. It was great. It was convenient. It was fun. I was having a great time. They were having a great time. To my knowledge, we got along well. We adventured. It was great. It just ended in a way that I wouldn't have wanted it to end, but that doesn't mean to trash the whole situation. So just look back upon that relationship with fondness and take inventory of the things that you really liked and the things that you didn't like, and use that to make an informed decision going forward into the next either relationship, if that's what you're ready for now, or FWB situation. And to be honest, I mean, I think that that is most of what I had to say on the topic of how to handle your FWB relationship ending. Yeah, it's very emotional. It's a very emotional time. If you're here and you're going through it, it's a very emotional time. You're not going to want to do a lot. You're not going to want to talk to a lot of people, especially since talking to people isn't the most helpful because they don't necessarily understand your relationship. They either see it's kind of black and white for them. It was a friendship and it's kind of weird that you're caring that much, or it's a relationship and why didn't you guys just call it that? So you're not going to want to talk to them too much because you don't want to try to get through the barrier of explaining the nuance of your relationship and then the intricacies of your pain. So I understand that you're going to want to be alone and you're going to just, I don't know, like, I found solace in watching manifestation videos because there wasn't a lot of friends with benefits. There wasn't really any friends with benefits content out there. So I'm hoping that I can be a conduit for you and you can gain some energy through me and gain some solace or find some solace in my situation and how I'm explaining to you how I went through it. If you want more details on how I processed and the or how I am processing, because I'm still currently going through that, but I believe that I'm kind of finding my way on the back end, getting more back to my personality because I really was not me for like 2 months. Feel free to comment and ask. I have no problem with making a video on that or just answering your a quick question in the comments. But that's kind of all I have on it for now. Good luck. Feel It's okay to feel that, and you will come out on the better end, my friend. I promise you will come out on the better end. Peace. I'll see you in the next video.